Right, so welcome to another episode of the Engineering Leaders podcast series, where we are bringing together engineering leaders from various fields to better understand the path of how a young, aspiring engineer can succeed and build an exciting career ahead of them. So, today we are joined by Shobhit. Shobhit is currently working as the head of engineering at Decentro, which is a full stack API banking platform that helps businesses launch financial products easily by integrating multiple banking partners, which frees up time and effort for businesses to focus on more important revenue generating activities. So some fun fact, Shobit started off as a software developer in India, working in various firms after graduating from Bangalore Institute of Technology, I believe, slowly progressing the ranks to eventually becoming a senior full stack developer and eventually the head of engineering over at Decentro in only just 9 years under his belt. So, let's welcome Shobit here on this show. Great to have you, Shobit, and quite excited to always have
Yeah,
engineers who are working on very exciting and disruptive businesses, on a startup front.
thank you so much, Kenny. I'm really excited to be a part of this podcast, and yeah, quite pumped up. want to want to discuss engineering, and that's what I've always been passionate about.
I see. All right, so Shobit, could you share with everyone about yourself and the work that you're currently doing?
Sure. As you introduced, I head engineering at Decentro. Decentro is a platform which enables our clients to build uh, their own fintech startups. We help them to onboard customers, to verify them, and let them transact payments on our infrastructure. So the onboarding and transaction payments are two big aspects of Decentro. I personally, as you mentioned, I've completed 9 years, soon going to be completing 10 years in engineering. And this journey has been over many startups. And the only thing that I can say about myself is that I've been only part of startups. So what I use is I've been born and raised in startups. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
And when you were studying at Bangalore Institute of Technology, actually I
Yeah,
see you joined the entrepreneurship cell as one of your
yeah,
co-curricular activities.
right.
I'm just curious, has those experiences influenced your current decision to work at Decentro, which is kind of a smaller company setup compared to a bigger MNC?
Yes. So, entrepreneurship cell at VIT Vellore was a big proponent. It was like pushing me in a direction towards looking at startups as well as entrepreneurship. And from the get-go, I started out of college with a startup, and I understood what are the challenges that a small startup faces. Majorly, that most of the people who are in a startup have to wear multiple hats. So you would have to be a developer. You would also have to take care of product. You might also want to look into infrastructure, which might, in a very big company, which will be different roles, or even they would be different teams altogether. So information security might be another area. So as an engineer, uh, when I joined a small startup, it becomes very easy because like I get to see so many problems which are very interesting to me. I can look at, let's say, scaling my infrastructure at one side. I can look at giving quality products on another side. I can be solving some other issue from engineering processes side on the third side. So this whole thing is very exciting to me. And it still to date it is an exciting endeavor for me. Learning has been a constant motivator for me. And like if you keep on working on things which are newer technologies, and you learn about them, you can always build a solution. So yeah, so continuing my answer from journey from my entrepreneurship cell in VIT to Decentro, it has all been underlying. The underlying factor there has been learning. That's what I would say.
I see. And for yourself, will you give us a rundown of your career experiences from, cutback all the way presently at
Yeah.
Decentro?
Yeah, so Cardback was the first startup, and like it's like your first love, right? Like you really like that. The founders there were pretty young. It was their first startup as well, and they gave us the first chance to like do whatever you can. There were deliverables. You had to deliver on the product deadlines, and you were uh, like focused on what has to be developed for the product. But like you had the freedom to develop in the manner that you want to develop. So it was a very small startup. It was like for 6 members. I think I was the seventh member there. And if you are a team of 7 members, basically you get to run whatever you want to run, and you get to build whatever you want to build according to your own rules. So that was very interesting to me. That was Cardback. Then I moved to Frankly Me, which was a video platform, which is now very popular, similar to what TikTok and Reels that you get, right? And in those days, like in 2015, they were building a platform which was a short video format. So yeah, I was a part of that as well. There, I got the first taste of backend engineering. Backend engineering is where you deal with servers, you deal with algorithms. So what I was working there was for feeds. So basically, the activity feed that you get for a particular user that you see that people can scroll through, which is like endless scrolling. Those features we were building, and we were also focused on video delivery. So my main KRAs were into video delivery as well as into feed management.
And it seems that you had a very illustrious career so far, having many experiences working in smaller startup, especially, in the startup scene. No, startups can always be a challenge, but also very rewarding as well. What are some of the, would you say, the most memorable experience or projects that you have taken part of that you felt that you've grown a lot from?
Yeah, so Decentro has been a big learning experience for me. So, as I mentioned about Frankly Me, after that, I did join uh, 2 more startups, and then I came to Decentro. That was the whole journey of mine. In these 3 years that I spent at Decentro, as of now, I've gone through a lot of very good problems to solve. These are both engineering side as well as on the management side of things. So one thing which I've learned is engineering processes. How do you make sure that the processes are followed, and how do you build something, or how do you solve something? So these are the 2 aspects which were very interesting to me, and I really loved it that I could get an opportunity in a very young startup where I could again have the freedom to solve the problem in the manner that I want to solve.
And for yourself, what were some things that you have done so far that propelled and accelerated your career growth?
That would be a lot to do with following 2 3 things. One is like innovation. So as I mentioned about learning earlier as well, learning is a big proponent. So take once you have a passion for learning on something, let's say if you are focused on engineering as a learning discipline, or if you have let's say finance as well, or whatever you want to learn on, you can continue to build. The curiosity keeps on pushing you, the curiosity to know more, to learn more, to do things and then see the results. That is a tactical kind of learning that you focus on, and that really helps you. So reading in one aspect, but yeah, so when you do things and when you like fail on them and then you improve on them, and then you learn like what is working for me, what is not working for me, those aspects really expedite your progress towards being a leader. That's one aspect of it. Leadership is another. So how good are your interpersonal skills? How good are you in talking to people? Are you able to understand their problems? Are you able to understand why are they not able to perform? Why are they able to perform, and how can you sustain that? That's very important. For junior developers, sometimes they might have challenges which they are not very open about. So focusing on them, understanding, or having casual conversations does help in that area. So now if you focus a lot by having casual conversations, out of work conversations, or like taking time out to spend some time, quality time with them, you might want to like you might get to understand what is that is hindering them, or what is that motivates them. Yeah, so those two things, the interpersonal skills as well as the learning as a passion, that keeps you motivated, and that helps you in the career as well.
I see. And you mentioned a little bit about learning, right? So because I do have like engineers who feedback that, they're in a slew, I mean, or at least in the field of engineering, there's a lot of priorities and things to learn. And of course, it can be a little bit overwhelming because, they're not very sure
Yeah,
are some of the things that they should do, okay, to actually propel their career forward. Some of them actually think
right.
of taking masters, or maybe a further studies, and maybe some people like take courses, but they're not very sure exactly how to design their career path forward. So do you have any advices for people who might be in such similar situations?
Yeah, so the biggest advice, like I think it comes from many other engineers. It's not my own learning, but yeah, it does help. Is that the bigger the problems you are solving, the more valuable you are. So be it being in the product side of things, or being in the sales team or the business development team, or in the engineering team, the kind of problems that you're solving, they should impact many people, and the more the number of people it impacts, the bigger the solution that you have, more valuable you are. So that has been a big understanding, big insight that I've gotten over my career. Now, how do I connect learning and problem solving? So basically, when you learn to a certain extent, you apply them to build a solution, and that becomes a habit over a long tenure. Now that becomes problem solving. So if there are people, as you are mentioning, if there are people who are now focusing on whether they should be taking up, let's say, business management, or they should be looking at product development or product management, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, the kind of problems that you're solving will always be paramount. See, look at anything. Look at institutes, for example. What are they doing? They are trying to solve the problem of educating people, and that's how they generate the money that they are uh, getting in terms of fees that they charge. Look at any other internet-based company. The kind of solutions that they provide, be it like a delivery service, or be it like a search engine like Google, the kind of problems that they are able to solve, the bigger the problem, the bigger the monetization goal, or monetization target that you can achieve, right? So when it comes to your own personal life, uh, focus on this. Like if you are to build a career, that I'm going to be solving big problems, and that should be the focus. That's what I think.
I
Like,
see.
what are your views on that?
Hey, actually, I was about to say that I echo really the same views. Even if it's not in terms of, let's say, engineering, but in general, in terms of sales, like, for myself, running a business, and of course in entrepreneurship, it's always the bigger problems that you solve, the more money is to be made. Sometimes if you solve
Yeah,
small problems, then people wouldn't pay big bucks because it's not a painful problem that they really care about. But
right.
you want to direct your attention and focus on to things that really matter. So something that I've learned over interviewing so many engineering leaders like yourself, one consistent thing that they always mention, that the value of what you can bring to the company is always the size of
Yes,
what are the problems that you are solving for the company. Because a lot of times
correct.
people,
Yeah,
they always, let's say for engineers, they always mention that, hey, how come I cannot promote, or let's say, how come my company doesn't really value my work? It's not because they
Yeah,
are very technically skilled. Okay, they could be much more technically skilled than others that might promote faster, but it's really
yeah,
those that promote faster are perceived, okay, to be solving a bigger problem for the company.
correct. Yeah,
Example, it's not just like firefighting, like just trivial problems. It could be solving like maybe taking initiatives to solve a company
correct.
process issue that help the
Correct.
company
Yeah,
reduce 20% like cost or something.
exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
actually you did mention a really good point that a lot of engineers tend to forget. No, really, at the end of the day, in your workplace, you should be focusing your activities and work solving those.
yeah,
Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
with the same views. All right.
Hey, I would just like to add something here. So, um, a lot of times what happens to engineers is also there are flashy technologies which come in. For a while, I think 2, 3 years back, you would remember that blockchain was a very flashy technology, right? Like everybody was trying to build things on that. There was ICOs which were happening, like ICOs which were happening, and then there was the tokens being built. All those things were there. Uh, so what, but did it solve a problem for you? People couldn't find what problem is it solving for me. Bitcoin did. Like Bitcoin was just an alternate source of investment for a lot of people, but it did not solve a technological problem per se. Right? People could not find a fit for it. So now, as a technology, it's super. The premiumness, I mean, the markets that got built around it were great. But I still see that the blockchain is just not found a solution, or it's not solving a problem as of now, right? And that becomes a challenge, I would say. See, if a technology like that couldn't solve it, for engineers also, it makes the same thing that if you are going to be focusing on things which are very flashy, which are very good, but they do not solve a problem, they will not have a utility at the end of the day, right? Uh, I mean, that's just wanted to give an example like that.
And while I was researching about more about the work that Decentro does for the businesses, I can't really
Right,
help but really be amazed by the results that you have created for your clients and partners.
right,
Well, one of your clients, MoneyTap, which is an online
yes,
platform that facilitates personal line of credit for individuals and enables them to secure credit and funds quickly. Actually saw their customer onboarding time reduced by 95%. That's a crazy
yes,
result that you have created for them. And now, MoneyTap is able to handle over 20,000 KYC validations every day
right,
without
yeah,
any breaks or delays using your platform's balancing feature. So, I'm just really curious to find out a little bit more about your great work that you guys are having over at Decentro. So, for yourself, having worked at Decentro for a couple of years, I believe
yeah.
you've known how Decentro actually started out. So, could you share a little bit more about the origin of Decentro and, what were some of the opportunities or, like you mentioned earlier, the problems, okay, that your founder Rohit has seen, okay, that
Yeah.
inspired him to actually start Decentro?
Sure. So to begin with, firstly, that MoneyTap is a great partner for us. We have been doing business together for a long time, and yes, we did solve the problem for them where we reduced their onboarding times by a lot, as you mentioned. Um, this was the kind of problems that we wanted to solve. So now Rohit, when he started out, he wanted to focus on uh, the underserved clients, which are the startups which are not able to get the kind of products that are currently in the market. So, and in the age of 2020 as well, when we started, we did not see the products that we wanted to serve. And the problem majorly is the integrations that you are doing with the banks or with one of the providers for KYC, or let's say a provider for onboarding, are taking their own sweet time. Now, what we understood as a startup, you do not have that much runway, you do not have that much time You would rather want to do the integrations quickly, go to market very quickly, learn, like get feedback from the customers, understand what has to be improved, and then go forward and like build more products, develop new services for the clients, right? So this is where it really helped, and this is where Rohit saw an opportunity. Rohit said that let's build a foundation layer for everyone, and this becomes the infrastructure layer for young startups to use our services to build the products that they want to build, right? Now, when we started out, the biggest thing that we wanted internally was to set up a great foundation. So if you have your uh, basement and the foundation layer, I would say, of a building very solid, very structurally solid, you can build a very tall building on top of that, right? So this is exactly what is happening as of now. We were building and we still are building the great foundation layer, and there are products which we are building on top of the foundation layer, which help our client reduce times, like in onboarding or in payments, or getting to use the payments infrastructure, or getting to use the onboarding infrastructure. It becomes very easy for them.
I see. And how does the Decentro's platform differ? I'm not sure, whether you have strong competitors, but I believe there are some that I've seen before that integrates it the way that Decentro does it. So, what makes Decentro's solution actually stand out from perhaps the competitor
Yeah,
and
so
unique platform?
right, yeah. So documentation is one thing out of the gate. So a lot of platforms focus a lot on engineering, technology, but they forget that the one who is going to be consuming your technology or consuming your product needs to understand it very well. Like needs to understand what are the issues that might come in using your product, or if there are not issues, what are the different kinds of responses, or what are the different kinds of results that we might get from your product, right? So documentation becomes a very, very big documentation becomes a very important aspect, and the product managers here at Decentro have been focusing a lot on documentation. They make sure that all things are covered. Like these things might range from the parameters that are being passed, the responses that we get, the codes, anything which is required for a client to go live. It really helps. Now, how does it help us? So once you have a reduction, or once you have a very nice documentation, the number of calls that you get from operations or customer success gets reduced, right? So like if you have a very nice documentation, the clients are able to understand themselves, they do not have many questions, they would rather integrate it very well, and they will not have a lot of issues. So yeah, documentation is one thing which differs us very well from our competitors. And the second is resiliency. So resiliency is that over a period of time, we have ensured that our product is available 24/7. If there is a downtime, if there is a notification to be sent, it is sent in time to the clients that there might be some issues or there might be some delays. So this has ensured that the clients are getting notified in due time, and they can take measures that they have to take to to work with to make the changes that are required on their end. Even after that, the resiliency for us, the targets are very high for product managers or infrastructure managers here at Decentro, and we have to focus very much that our APIs and our products are running like are stable more than 99% of the time.
And what I really like about Decentro is you guys actually have a website that offers valuable blogs and articles to educate the readers on how different APIs and platforms can be integrated
Yes.
together to
Yeah.
improve operational efficiency. which are really, really well written. I have seen some of them, like it's as though like an educational like content,
Right.
at least library of it. And I also read that through, I mean, those marketing efforts that you guys have pushed out, okay, actually increased the website traffic by more than 600%. Actually grew
Yeah, it
7
is.
times just by organic marketing alone. So very curiously, because I don't see smaller startup companies actually investing the same amount of time, effort, and resources in building free knowledge base like you guys do. So I was
Right.
just curious, right? What inspired you guys to start, being more aggressive or at least more intentional with such marketing efforts? Is there a particular target audience you guys are aiming for? And what's the end outcome that you guys want by doing such materials?
Okay. So yeah. So if you are trying to help fintech startups, fintech companies, this is your community, right? And with the content that you are serving to them, be it on a video platform, be it on a blog-based platform, as our blogs are, or even on our website, the articles that we are writing, those keep the customers or the community engaged, right? Now, if you have an engaged community, or if you have a very good search engine optimization score, you are yourself very accessible as well as visible in the market, right? So now this kind of marketing keeps an engaged community. Now, because of that engaged community, they would continue to read our blogs, they would continue to come to our website to see what is updated. If there is a news from the fintech world, that would be a part of our blogs, or that will be a part of our resource pages, and that keeps everybody engaged. Because of this engagement, the mm, the cost that we spend on marketing gets reduced, right? That's one aspect of it. Also, it keeps the community well informed about what is the new changes, what are the things that are coming from uh, our banks, or they are coming from our central bank in India, which is RBI. So those things really help the community. But in essence, major thing is that the marketing reduces the cost of an inbound lead, and it helps in the long run. Now, that is on the marketing blogs, but if you look at the engineering blogs are focused on the uh, engineering readers, and it helps them to solve problems which we have already solved. So, like, they can learn from our mistakes, or they can learn from our learning, and they can learn from our solutions, and they can build a better product for themselves. So some of the blogs, like where we have improved by saying that you can move from one technology to the other. That really helped us, and we wanted to spread that same learning outward as well for the engineers. So yeah, these are the two kinds of blogs that I would say that we are writing.
Right. Awesome. Actually, I really look forward to more amazing things that you guys do. Not many startups I know really invest their time. I think they are usually too busy with solving like other product issues, or like really, but at least you guys are keeping or building that brand.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just want to add one more thing here. So this is an opportunity for you to build a brand, right? The presence that they see. So like, if in our case, apart from these articles, and we also have a events team, and we try to reach out on events. We were a part of a Singapore uh, FinTech Fest as well, and that is where you see that the brand reach helps them, and re-imbibes their confidence and faith in Decentro, and like that converts into the more products that they want to use, right? So yeah, I mean, like, going forward, I'd say that more writings will be coming from us, more videos will be coming from us, more engineering blogs will be coming from us. So yeah, stay tuned.
No, okay. Yes, please, whoever's watching this, do follow the Central on LinkedIn, for more
Yeah,
updates. Right. And, for yourself, having worked in the fintech space for many years,
yeah.
if that you have seen the evolutions of the fintech industry, evolving threats and opportunities. So just curious, right? What are some of the biggest opportunities and challenges you see within the coming decade that Decentro can actually capitalize on? Oh yeah.
Okay. Sure. So I'm pretty sure Singapore and India both have seen, and all around the world actually, we are seeing a revolution in how we are consuming payments. So, like you would remember the old days when we used to have checks, right? Like whenever we had to withdraw some money, we had to go to the bank, give a check, get the money out, or we would submit a check for any payment, right? Those days are long gone, right? Like now we are in an era where mobile payments have become the norm, right? Anybody expects that you do not have to carry a wallet. All payments that you do will be done with your mobile phone itself, right? So this itself is a big opportunity for Decentro. We would see that there are going to be new channels which are coming in terms of payments. Like in India, there is a technology system called UPI, which has been introduced by the Indian government, which has now which is now in 7 countries as per what I was reading this morning. So now this technology itself will enable people to make payments very quickly. So we will have payments done in seconds when it used to take a day or two in the early era, right? So as we go along, we would see new advances in payments, and we would capitalize on those advancements. We would help banks build better products. We would also help our clients by serving those products and becoming a big player in the fintech space. That being said, on the payment side, there are other aspects which are also growing now. So insurance tech is becoming a big sector in India. If you look at financial services like lending, when you're taking a loan, that becomes very easy. All of these in turn helps the economy because the fund like flowing of funds is what enables like the economy to grow, and that's very important for an economy. Like if you have trust that this person will pay and can pay in seconds, you ensure that the money is given into your account and you can release the product or service that you uh, had promised to that person, right? And commerce, as it grows, it will also grow the economy, I would say. So this whole uh, value chain that you see is a big opportunity for Decentro. And we see different aspects and different areas where we can grow, like insurance being one, lending being another, and payments being the third one, I would say. So yeah, I mean, these are the areas that I see opportunities in.
And as the head of engineering at Decentro, I believe you are someone who is a huge advocate for high performance team culture within engineering
Yeah.
team. You mentioned earlier that the importance of intercommunication skills to really
Yes.
understand why people are doing well and why people are not. Okay, so that you can optimize for best results. So, for
Right.
example, Shobhit, what are some of the personal principles or beliefs that you inculcate and constantly reinforce in your high performing team over at Central?
Sure. So, first thing which has been said by our co-founder Rohit Taneja is like one-on-ones. So you have a periodic one-on-one session with your mentor. So the person who is like a buddy to you in the company, you can open up with that person. You can tell the problems. You can tell the projects, like as a junior engineer or a person who's looking up to the senior engineers. You can tell them that I want to work on a certain kind of project. I want to work in this domain, which is more interesting to me than the current work that I'm doing, or I want to have a break from the current work that I'm doing. Or if they're doing good and they're just wanting to continue, they can express that. This is like one of the key factors on communication that uh, helps us. So any problems or any challenges, if you're vocal, if you're telling us, those challenges will be uh, will be solved and would give us an understanding of how we can improve as a whole high performance team, as you mentioned. Also, there are checklists that I found to be very, very helpful. So this was actually, I think I read somewhere that it also helped in moon landing. I don't quote me on that, but yeah, it did. That checklists are very simple too. You keep on checking off whatever you have done or what are the tasks that you have had done. And it's a very simple, very like how should I put it? The most basic tool that you can have for product management or project management, right? But it is very, very effective. Like you might forget about something else, but like if you keep a checklist and if you keep on checking off that, okay, I've done this and this is still pending or this is to be done, it really, really helps you get the goals that you want to work on. And yeah, I mean, these are the two things which I see are two insights from me that have really helped Decentro become a high performance team.
And what are some of the top challenges that you have realized more inexperienced engineers in either your company or the industry face?
Okay. One, as you mentioned as well, is not being sure on what they want to do. Basically, like sometimes people do not know, they have so much noise around them that they're not very sure on what they want to do. And actually, I was listening to the podcast was Constant that you had last, I think 2 weeks back it was released, and he was speaking about the same thing that if you have a passion towards something, if you have passion towards uh, just focus on that. And he was also talking about ikigai, right? Where he mentioned that if you marry your passion, it becomes very easy for you to work with that, right? So the first thing is to search for your passion. I would agree with him here. Uh, Try to find the things that make you excited. Curiosity is one motivator for a lot of people. And I would say that if you are passionate towards a particular thing, find a way just to make money out of it, and that's going to work wonders for you. So now if you're a junior engineer, find an area which makes you like go makes you really excited. Like it can be front end, it can be command line interfaces, it can be writing applications which really help somebody else. It can be data visualization, it can be data processing, it can be like any of these areas. As a junior engineer, just find the focus, find the passion that you like, you get excited with, like the thing that makes you excited throughout the day. Find that and keep on working towards that. That's what I would say. What are your views on this? Like as a junior, yeah, sorry, if a junior engineer comes to you, what would you tell them to do?
I mean, you have a point with regards to passion. I have slightly different views. I don't believe
Mhm.
for the most part, most people wouldn't know exactly what their passion is.
Okay.
Usually the views I have around passion is that you don't magically marry those passion. Normally, a passion is developed if you're actually good at something. Like for example, when you are younger, let's say if your perhaps maybe mom or let's say your parents actually says that, hey, you are really good at drawing. So naturally, most people will feel passionate about it, not because that
Right.
it's really because they really like it, but it's because of external validation, and perhaps maybe certain things that they feel that they are better in, and that motivates them to do even more. And when they do more and through the practice they get better, naturally they will like something that they are better at. I mean, that's just my observations. I also learned this from this book called So Good That They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. A really good book that, why
Mhm.
the notion of finding a passion is not always the best idea. But what people need to think about is that they should actually just at least think what is probably a good step forward. So for example, perhaps maybe you might not have the most passionate uh, view about, let's say, software engineering, but
Right.
you know that at least this is the direction that you probably might try and head towards. And let's say
Right.
you get better at it, okay, eventually you will learn to love it lah. And of course, that's where the passion develops. So usually people will always go the other way around. They'll try to force feed their passion with their work. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of that, why not just focus on getting really, really good at something and naturally
Yeah.
path forward. I mean, those are my views on
No,
passion.
surely, because I would like to say, yeah, you're right in a certain way, because for me it worked. For me, like when I was I was 13 years old. I was working on my first like computer, the first time that you got a computer and you wrote the first program, and you understood that there is a machine, that you made that machine do something which you thought that like I can do on paper. You asked that machine to do and it did, right? That was a moment of eureka moment in my mind, and it always made me curious going forward. Yes, over the years it has been like different things, but it has still been that I work like still like to do things with the machine that makes machine do something, right? So that was like something which is still very very wonderful for me. It, like as you can see, it brings a smile to my face that like every time I can do something, I can make the machine do something. It's a very passionate thing. I don't know, like some people might find it with motorcycles, or they might find it with the automobile, like cars, that they can do in their early age, they were able to drive or they were able to do that, and they continued like doing either in designing cars, or they can defining or like modifying cars, or they could do modifying bikes, do things like that. But for me, like for an engineer, I would say like if you're an engineer, you do get passionate about the kind of things that you're doing, right? Like if you're able to get a computer to do something that you wanted to do, like it's a very nice thing. I don't know how do I express that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's where I talk about passion, and that's why I say that as an engineer, if you find that, it's great.
Yeah. And actually, what you mentioned is also true as well. Actually, at least we shouldn't be doing things that we hate. Some
Yeah, yeah,
may not love what we do, to the 100%, but I'm pretty sure humans are more inclined to be sure of what they don't want to do rather than what they want. So,
that's
sometimes
true.
I always tell people, if you're not very sure of what you want to do, how about you start with things that you don't want to do? And, perhaps maybe you want to invert it. So, for example, let's say I don't want to do boring desk job, for example. Okay, then perhaps the inversion of that is that, okay, do you want to do something that's a little bit more field work? Okay, you go out and meet clients or sales kind of roles. Then at least we have an idea of what we want to do.
Uh,
Yeah. So, I mean,
True.
that's what I learned also. Yeah, but Shobit, as we come to the end or close to the end of the podcast, I think one thing that I've learned, I want to find out a little bit more about you is, your field experience and really what it really takes to become a good engineer, right? So, in your opinion, what differentiates the more successful engineers who go on to have great career opportunities like yourself, and for those that compared to those that don't find as much success, and if possible, could you cite some specific examples as well?
Actually, so actually, we are in a time where we are seeing mass layoffs all around the
Hmm.
industry. Like you are seeing like big companies laying off people, right? And it's a time where engineer is bound to be fearful. They're bound to be like scared about their own jobs, right? So my like the differentiator is how consistent are you? So if you are very consistent, even in these bad times, like as you see right now, what is going on, or even in the good times, if you're consistent, if you're not affected by the times itself, if you're just focused on getting things done, delivering things, and like delivering things in time, nothing else will matter. You will shine. Your day might come sometime later. Your recognition might come sometime later, but it will come for sure. So the only thing that I would say, consistent performance. Okay. yes, there is that you have to like outshine from what you're doing. If you're consistently like just being stagnant, that would not work. By consistently performing is like I would say that just keeping yourself like doing 10% better than what you were doing, let's say last year, or 15% doing better than what you were doing last 6 months back. All those things are counted, but just being consistent. If you fear what is happening outside, if you fear uh, like what is currently happening in the market, and you change what you're doing, it will not get the results that you want. Like I mentioned about like whatever we are doing in Decentro, if we are consistently working towards payments infrastructure, consistently working towards onboarding infrastructure, we will achieve the goals that we want, right? But if we like do like go haywire and we start looking into, let's say, short form videos, or we'll start looking as a technology company, I'm just saying it does not make business sense to us. But if we are phased out by the noise, okay, that will become a challenge, and we will not achieve the goals that we want to achieve in the particular domain that we have. Same applies for the engineering team as well. So, like engineers, if they are focused on getting things done, owning stuff, like owning the the thing that they're working on, or the thing that they're building, and showing initiative. Like I think I missed out on that. That's a big problem. I think you introduced that here in the podcast. Initiative is a very big thing. So now, if you say that, okay, I have ownership on what I'm doing, and you come to me and say that, okay, I want to introduce this thing which is going to optimize my performance, or which is going to improve our capacity to do things, right? That is showing me that you are focused about what you are building on, right? And you have ownership. You're saying that if it fails, I will take ownership of that. I will make the changes that are necessary, right? That excels you, because that shows that you are ready to take a step higher. Like you are ready for being promoted, right? Because A, you are performing well. B, you are looking ownership. You're taking ownership of the things that you're working on. And C, you are showing initiative that I want to build something else. I think these are the three metrics that I would say that uh, really make a great engineer compared to an engineer who's just passing his time in the industry.
I see. And but besides what you have mentioned, are there any top traits yourself, because you are head of engineering, that you are looking out for in new hires over at Decentro? Mm.
Uh, any tricks? Yeah, I mean, the engineering interview itself tells us a lot. So the people, whoever submits their resume, we go through their projects and what have they done in the past. So if they are thorough with what they have done, they are able to answer the questions, or they are able to tell us or explain us what they have done. It tells us that A, they had ownership over what they were doing.
Mm.
And if there were new technologies or new things that they brought in the solution, right, that would show the initiative that they were working on, right? So these things really outshine you compared to any other candidate that is there for an interview, right? So it's very important for a interviewee that they are very well read on their own resume, because that's what you are telling me. And if you have gone through Decentro's posts, if you have gone through understanding what Decentro is about, a little bit about the culture, if you have understood, that really helps. That tells me that you are very serious to join this organization, and it will be like easy onboarding process as an employee for you, right? Like because you're already knowing about a lot of things, and that really helps as a candidate for an interview.
Hmm. Okay. And as we close up this podcast, I know that you guys are always on the search for more talents, for
Yeah.
people to join Decentral. So could you, let the audience know, could you describe what the team culture is like at Decentral? And what are some of the growth and mentorship opportunities one can expect working with you?
Yeah. So one thing that goes hand in hand is learning and fun, as I mentioned. So learning is that the task that you're given, you would see that either somebody in your team or the team next to you is building a technology which is new or which is cutting edge. And if you have the passion to learn, or you want to like you want to know what they are working on, it's a big boon, right? And that's the culture that we have at Decentro. We also have a lot of fun. Okay, there are a lot of fun activities that we keep on having. There is a usually there is food in the evenings that comes at in our uh, headquarters, and like we all enjoy. We have lunches together. That's camaraderie that we build within the team. So yeah, I would say in conclusion, learning and fun are the two elements that go hand in hand as a culture in Decentro. Just to add one more thing is honesty. So if you are not able to perform, if you there are issues, or if you see that you're not happy with something, be honest about it. If you see that something else is not going right, be honest about that. That's one more thing on the work side of things that I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah, but just to say, it does not mean that hard work is not there. It does not mean that long hours are not there. It's a startup. There are like few people. They wear a lot of hats. They are doing different tasks. They are doing performing different roles. And if you are also some person who wants to work in an environment like this, where you are a hardworking person and you like to take up many roles, you are welcome to Decentro. Please apply to us, and yeah, we'll take this forward.
Okay. Okay, if you are an audience and you love to, have a chat, feel free to actually reach out to Shobhit or even Rohit on LinkedIn, okay, and see if
Yeah,
start a conversation. Right. So, thank you so much, Shobhit. We learned a lot from you in today's podcast. Just to summarize, I think the key things that you have mentioned is a lot about communication, ownership, and of course the love for learning, for the continuous learning for growth,
yeah,
just to make sure that, because in the startup it's always go go go, it's always a fast
yeah,
fight, like fast pace. But of course, if you have the passion and the vision to actually do something meaningful, then perhaps maybe a place like Decentro will be a very great place for growth. Hopefully I did help you to, encapsulate what the spirit at your team is.
yeah, surely. Yes, those are the tenets that have built Decentro on. So yeah, you're right on that.
Okay.
And thank you for this podcast.
Yeah.
And thank you for giving me a chance to express what we do at Decentro, and to share a little bit about myself as well. So thanks a lot, Kenny.
Yeah, pleasure. And of course, this is the wrap for the episode. As I mentioned, thank you so much for being such an awesome guest on the show. And hopefully, what Shobit has mentioned inspires all of you. So, see you guys in the next episode.